In today's episode, we are sharing everything that you need to know about flying Southwest Airlines and why it is a game changer for traveling as a family of 5. Listen in. Hi, I'm Rhea.
And I'm Dwayne.
And we are your hosts of the Travel Party of 5 podcast, where we share how we travel as a family of 5 around the world.
We will also share how we use points and miles to travel as affordably as possible and sometimes even completely free.
So if you're wanting to travel more with your family, but you're not sure how, we'd love for you to listen in.
So welcome to our podcast where we hope you learn a thing or two to get you closer to your next trip.
Hey guys, welcome back to Travel Party of 5 podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
Yes, welcome back. Today we are going to talk about Southwest and how we took advantage of this companion passes.
It's a tongue twister. Yes, so we are talking all things Southwest today. If you've listened before, you know, we have an episode on how we earned 2 companion passes. I'm pretty sure we mentioned Southwest in almost every podcast that we've done, but you can go back and listen to episode 1. That is all about how we earned the companion passes. That is not what we're talking about today. We are talking about, number 1, how we maximized our companion passes, and number 2, everything that you need to know about flying Southwest, because here's the deal. I feel like Southwest is people have very polarized views about Southwest Airlines. They either love it or they hate it. And it's often referred to as a budget airline. But in my opinion, the prices are not very budget, especially lately. And if you compare to like Frontier or a Spirit, like I would not describe Southwest as budget in terms of cost, but you know, there is no first class or business class. All the seats are the same and you don't get to choose your seats. So I feel like people either love it or they hate it. And I wouldn't say that we love it necessarily, but the value is in the companion passes for me and for us because we have a larger family.
For sure.
So I do think that while you may not love it, Southwest, if you want to travel more, is a game changer for families that have at least 2 kids. And so we have flown Southwest almost exclusively over the last year, and we will continue to do that for our personal travel through the remainder of this year because that is when our companion pass ends. And so our strategy for getting the companion passes once we earned them was to prioritize flying places that Southwest flies to. So like if you want to fly to Europe or something, then Southwest is not the airline for you.
Nope.
So Southwest flies to a ton of places within the US, including all 5 Hawaiian Islands. And then they have a few, not hubs, but a few stops in Mexico, Costa Rica, and the Caribbean. So basically we decided when we're getting these passes, we are going to prioritize our travel to the places that we want to go within those ones I just mentioned. So, I mean, do you want to talk about like where we've gone so far? And then I can talk about where we're going with these companion passes.
So far we've been to Maui.
Yep.
Washington, D.C.
Yep.
San Francisco, San Diego, and our most recent trip to Costa Rica.
Yep. And we are going to go to Kauai later this year. And we're also going to go to the Grand Caymans later this year.
Which I'm excited about.
Yes, that should be really fun. That is a trip for just Dwayne and I, so the kids are not going on that.
Whoop, whoop.
And actually, that reminds me, I need to call Southwest and I need to change my companion to you so I can add you to the flights. So that's a good segue. So if you do have the companion passes, you can change your companion up to 3 times per year. So if you want to take a trip with your kids and the family, and then you and your husband want to take a trip after that, you can call them, change your companion, and it takes less than 5 minutes, I would say. Yeah. So we're going to talk about what it is like to fly Southwest Airlines, because I think the biggest thing is there's no assigned seats. And I think people get like really stressed about this. But here's why I wouldn't worry if you're a family. Okay, we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
Southwest has also had a lot of news coverage about their delays, and they had this saga over Christmas. I don't think it was this year, but I think it was 2022. Where they had like a whole bunch of delays and people were stuck for days, and it wasn't great. They are definitely working to upgrade their back end, their operating systems. But I mean, that's realistically like a few years down the road, I would say. However, so we have not. Yeah, go ahead.
Experienced that many delays.
No, we have not. I think maybe we've had two. Oh, we've Las Vegas. We flew to Las Vegas also. We forgot that.
Yeah.
One of the delays we had was in Las Vegas. That's what made me think of that. But it was like an hour.
Yeah,
maybe.
It wasn't that long.
We were delayed on our most recent trip coming back from Costa Rica.
Yeah, which was kind of stressful because it was late.
It was late. We had all 3 kids, and it was a really long travel day. And one of our kids had a fever.
Yeah.
That, like, we discovered as we were walking into the airport in Costa Rica. Like, we were waiting in the security line, and he was all of a sudden just like, I don't feel good. And I felt him, and I, like a mom, you immediately know, like, oh, you have a fever. Like, I can feel it. So fortunately we had some ibuprofen, and he was able to take that, but it was just a stressful day. However, I learned a hack about a week after we got back that made that delay much more palatable. And I thought I knew everything there was to know about Southwest until I found this out. And I am like learning this hack made me want to shout from the rooftops about why Southwest is such a fantastic airline for families. Okay. So here is what you can do. If you are delayed on a Southwest flight for more than 1 hour, you can reach out to them on Twitter or Facebook, their official Twitter or their official Facebook page, and you can give them your flight number, any confirmation numbers of people who are on that flight, for your family, not everyone.
Yeah. And then they will look it up and verify, confirm.
They will look it up, and they will give, if you were delayed more than an hour and the delay was not due to weather. Okay. They may compensate for weather, but I don't know for sure. But our flight was delayed for operational something. And so
I thought it was weather.
It was not weather, according to what the message back said to me. But we got a $100 voucher per person for that 3-hour delay. So we now have $500 in Southwest credits that we can use towards future flights that are good for a whole year.
And mind you, 2 of those tickets were on the companion pass.
Yeah. So 2 of those tickets, we only paid for the taxes anyways. So we essentially just made money on that flight, which is, I think, like, incredible. I was like, I'm so proud of myself.
I mean, she's smiling ear to ear now.
I found it. I saw this hack on Instagram. I almost didn't click on it because I thought, nope, I know everything there is to know about Southwest. But I'm really glad I did. And so, yes, so that is incredible. Okay. So any delay more than an hour, honestly, if I wanted to bother with it, I might consider asking for a delay for that Vegas flight, but it was like almost a year ago. So I think we'll probably just let that one go. Okay, let's talk about like what it is like to
fly
Southwest. Okay. So I think the biggest stress that everyone wants to know about, and we can talk about that now, is the assigned seats.
Yes, and boarding.
So yes, you do want to check in. You set an alarm on your phone. You want to check in exactly 24 hours prior to boarding. So if you board at 8:05, you're going to set an alarm on your phone for 8:02 the previous day, and you're going to be on the app waiting to check in for your flight at 8:05. Okay, when you check in, you're going to get a number, a letter and a number. So Southwest ranks boarding A, B, C groups. A goes first, then B group, then C group. The only way you're getting into A group is if you're paying for like priority boarding, or you have A-list status or something like that.
Which we've never done.
Well, if you have any of the Southwest credit cards, some of them come with like maybe 2 upgraded boardings per year or something like that. So how you do that is you buy it through the app using that credit card, and then the card reimburses you for it. So basically you'll charge, let's say it's $25 per person. You'll buy it. It'll be $50 if there's 2 of you. And then you'll have a $50 statement credit on that card. But if you don't have those cards, like we've closed all of our Southwest cards at this point, you're either going to get B group or C group. Okay. B group is fine. You will still be able to sit together. C group, it's hit or miss. C group, you're getting middle seats and you're very back of the plane.
Yep.
So that's why you want to check in 24 hours before. But here's the thing. If you forget, or you check in 24 hours before and you get C group, okay? If you are a family, then Southwest does family boarding between A and B groups. So they'll let A board, and then they'll do family boarding, and then they'll move on to B group. Now, the rule, and I'm making quotation marks, but you can't see me. The rule on the Southwest website is you have to have a child 6 and under in order to board during family boarding. Okay. We do. We have a 4-year-old, so that's not really a problem for us. However, I have seen them announce 12 and under for family boarding. And I've definitely seen families with older kids board during family boarding. So I think my advice would be, if you have kids that are above the age of 6, but maybe not, quite old enough to sit by themselves, I would be assumptive and I would get in line for family boarding. And if they say anything to you, be kind and explain, like, my kid is 9 and is not comfortable sitting by themselves. In my experience, they're going to be pretty receptive to that. The other thing is, like, if you don't want to be assumptive, which is what I would do, but if you don't want to do that, just go up and ask them kindly at the gate. Say, like, hey, I'm really nervous about my son or daughter. Is there a way for us to board during family boarding? Yeah. Chances are they're going to say yes. They may make you wait until the end of family boarding to do it. But I mean, the Southwest crews that we've encountered have all been fantastic. So
yeah, no issues on our end.
None whatsoever. None. So I would not stress about not having assigned seats. I feel like it just gets blown up into a bigger deal than it has to be. And I mean, at the end of the day, like, especially if you have teenagers, like my 10-year-old could sit by himself on a plane and be fine. So, yeah. So I would not stress about that at all. Also, if you do have a companion, you want to make sure to check in the regular person who's flying first, and then you can check in your companion whenever, because they're going to be slotted a spot right next to you. So your companion will be automatically next to you, even if you don't check in at the 24-hour mark. Okay, what else we got here? I asked on my Instagram if anyone had Southwest questions specifically, and so I'm going to run through a few of those really quickly. So one was, what documents do lap infants need? So if you have a kid that's under 2, they can fly as a lap infant, and you don't need to buy them a ticket. The general rule is you want to fly with a copy of their birth certificate, just in case you get asked for it. I've never not once been asked for it, and I've always had it for all of our kids. But I have heard that Southwest in particular is like a stickler for asking this. I think the only reason they would ask is if it's unclear whether your kid is under 2 or not. I think if you have a newborn, like, that's pretty obvious. Yeah. And if you can't tell, then maybe you shouldn't be flying this plane. I don't know. The second thing was about Meet the Pilot, and can kids get like wings and all that fun stuff? So yes, they do have wings if you ask. I don't know about Meet the Pilot, quite honestly, but
our kids have never asked.
Our kids have never asked. One time my son got wings on a plane, and he was like really confused as to why he was getting those. So I think my kids don't expect like anything like that, but I think like if it's your first flight or whatever, I would bet money if you asked the flight attendants, you could absolutely meet the pilot. And so, yes, I mean, the Southwest crew just always has such a fun personality. I'm like really hoping to be on one of those flights where they're like giving out ukulele lessons or something like that. You want to talk about the checked bag policy? What, you didn't hear about that?
No, I did not hear about
Yeah,
the
there was a
ukulele.
Southwest flight where they just gave everyone got a free like guitar lesson or ukulele lesson or something. And I'm pretty sure it was on the way to Hawaii. I thought that was really fun.
It's pretty cool. As for the checked bag policy, Southwest allows you to do 2 free bags, which
Per person.
which you're going to pay for that in any other airline.
Yeah, that's like $50 for a checked bag one way usually.
Yeah. So, and you know, we're a checked bag family, so it's very useful for us.
Yes. Yep. We almost always check bags when we're flying all together. And I mean, that just saves so much money right there.
Yeah.
The other thing, you want to talk about the flight cancellation?
Yeah. Another question was, can you cancel your flight and how much time do you need? You can literally cancel your flight as soon as 10 minutes before the scheduled departure time.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy.
It is crazy. So like sometimes like if you're doing a positioning flight, for example, and you're flying, like let's say, you know, we're going to position from here to Chicago next year when we fly to Paris. And like, we're probably going to fly Southwest because we have those vouchers and that's what I'm going to use them for. But sometimes people will book Southwest as like their backup flight in case their first flight doesn't get them there in time or ends up getting canceled or postponed or something like that. So they'll book a backup flight on Southwest, and then, you know, if their original flight ends up taking off as scheduled, they'll just cancel it. And you can do that because you can literally cancel for up to 10 minutes prior to departure. If you used points, you get all your points back in your account. And then if you didn't, then how you paid and the fare that you paid determines whether you get a cash refund or whether you get a flight credit. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so all in all, we are a Southwest family. Again, we've had no real issues.
No real issues whatsoever. We've never not sat together.
Yeah.
And in fact, what's happened a lot of times is we'll have one full row to ourselves with, you know, one adult and 2 kids. And then the other adult and kid will have an empty middle seat between them quite often.
Yeah.
So it works out really good. And then someone else asked about snacks. So Southwest gives out 2 different kinds of snacks. They give out this little snack mix, which is very good, actually.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
And then they also give out little packets of brownie brittle. So you have something savory and something sweet.
And there's 3. And they give out graham crackers.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Oh.
In the morning, you get the graham crackers.
Oh.
And then in the afternoon or later, you get
the little
either the brownie brittle or the snack mix.
That's right. Okay, you're right. Yes, we do have those graham crackers. Our kids don't love those as much, I guess.
I don't either.
Now, if you're flying to Hawaii, you get like almost like a little bento box type snack mix. It has like some fruit. It has some cheese. It has a little yogurt thing, I think. And I think that's because it's a longer flight. Do you remember those? It was pretty good.
I actually don't remember those.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is exciting. Yeah, so if you're flying to Hawaii on Southwest, you do get that. Otherwise, you know, snack mix and brownie brittle. So,
yeah.
I mean, all in all, like, so we will not have companion passes next year, but I mean, I think that we will likely get them again starting the end of, like, we'll start the process at the end of 2025. And then we'll have it again for 2 years.
Yeah. It's the way to go for sure.
I mean, I just think like being able to fly 2 of our kids for free is an incredible value. And so I don't, you know, that makes me not care about first class or business class, like whatever. Like I'd rather, you know, pay less. So, yeah, again, another shorter episode today, but hopefully this was helpful. If you've been on the fence about Southwest or, you know, you've heard through the grapevine, it's not great. Let us be the ones to tell you that it is way better than Frontier or Spirit because we have flown both of those 2.
Please don't fly those airlines.
Oh my God. Frontier Airlines is the worst. The worst airline I've ever flown. Anyways, okay. Any questions, always find us on Instagram at TravelPartyOf5. We would greatly appreciate a review on this podcast if you have been enjoying it. That's what helps more people find our podcast. And we appreciate you so much. And we hope you have a great rest of your day
Yep,
and week.
thanks for listening.
Bye.
Have a good one.